What's up, y'all? I want to share something real quick. In the book of Mark, chapter 11, verse 23, it says to speak to your mountain, right? And so over like the past, I would say 2 3 weeks, I had like really been under the attack so much that it had me thinking that maybe I was in the process of having a stroke or a heart attack, right? And so while I had a lot of things going on, I was not stressed out. Let me clear the air on that. Was not stressed out. I was very aggravated about a certain thing. And that came about because of a person not doing what they were supposed to do. You know, you have all these people out here that want titles and positions but don't live up to their title or their position. And that just irritated me so much till I guess, I don't know, I was just aggravated. But my body began giving me telltale signs that something was wrong. And so at first, like I said, my initial thought was, Lord, please let me not be having a heart attack or a stroke, because I literally felt this sharp, intense pain on my right side of my body, from my right side at the top all the way down, like a sharp shooting pain in my arm. And then so it was like that for maybe like a day and a half. It was sharp and shooting pains, but it wasn't really intense at that point. And then so the next day, it became sharper and intense. And it got so much to the point where when I went to go lift my arm, like my arm just fell back limp, like it was really like limp, and it was hurting, like it was an inside pain. I couldn't explain it. It was a pain, but it was sharp shooting. It wasn't like a arthritis pain, nothing like an achy bone. It was literally sharp shooting pains, and it wouldn't stop. And so I kept feeling that, and kept feeling that. And I was on the phone, and I was talking to my mom, explaining to her, telling her, I was, she was telling me all the things that I should try and do. Did those things, but I just came to thought maybe this is what was happening to me. And then I began to pray. And when I began to pray, those symptoms subsided. Now, during this time, I kept trying to debate whether I wanted to go to the emergency room, because y'all know me, I ain't quick to just go to no emergency room. I'm going to try to thug that thing out. And so for days, I literally tried to thug it out. Literally tried to thug it out and thug it out and thug it out and thug it out. And like I said, it wasn't until I was sitting and I had just ended up watching a sermon or whatever. And so I was in my quiet time with God at that point. And so I remember seeing Mark the 11th chapter, the 23rd verse, and it says to speak to your mountain. So I began to pray over me heavily in that area of those pains that I was feeling. I was rebuking that stroke, and I was rebuking that heart attack would not find me. And so after that, y'all, I literally tell you, I didn't feel any more pain. I didn't have any more sharp shooting intense pain in my right side or whatever. I didn't have any more pain. And then rewind before that, like even before that, when I had it just in my arm at first, that next day, like I said, it was just sharp shooting. And then the next day it kind of went intense. And then that pain went from my arms, and it was just a sharp shooting pain from my right side of my body all the way down to my feet at this point. So it moved from just my arm, and it was sharp and intense from my arm to my feet. So I experienced that. But like I said, when I came into agreement with God in that moment, and I decided to speak to my mountain, it moved. I began to speak to my pain. I began to speak to what was trying to attack my body. I began to speak over myself. And when I began to speak over myself, I no longer felt what I felt. That was an indication there that I was under a spiritual attack. Like I said, in the beginning stages, I didn't think I was under a spiritual attack, because I literally just felt like, and I knew at that point I also had not been getting a lot of sleep. Because I just got a lot going on. I really haven't been getting a lot of sleep. I've been sleeping, but not getting a lot of sleep. So on top of that, I just kind of felt like my body was like kind of shutting down. I was tired and needed to rest. But like I said, as I began to speak over my body, as I began to speak to my situation, as I began to speak against anything that was trying to attack me from fulfilling the purpose which God was had me walking in, I was literally doing some things that God had spoken for me to do. And as I began doing those things, like I said, I started feeling all of these sudden things that felt as if it might have been a heart attack, or felt as if it had been a stroke. But like I said, I spoke to that mountain, and that mountain moved. So like I said, whenever you're going through something, whenever you're feeling sickness or whatever, it's not normal, speak to your mountain. Watch how that mountain moves.